It was discovered beneath the rotting floorboards of a condemned house in Romania, wrapped in cloth that had long since turned brittle, surrounded by a ring of salt that had hardened into stone, and sealed inside a wooden box carved with strange symbols no one could decipher. The doll was unlike any other. It had no eyes, no mouth, no limbs. Its body was stitched cruelly from burial cloth, and across its chest, in faded thread, was a single name, Anna. The demolition worker who found it thought it was nothing more than trash. He picked it up, tossed it aside, and went back to his work. That night, he dreamed of dirt. Not just dirt, suffocating soil pressing against his skin, filling his mouth, crushing his lungs. He woke up gasping, clawing at his throat, covered in sweat. The next day, he didn't show up to work. His co-workers found him in his backyard digging a hole. He said he had to prepare, that the doll had shown him where he would be buried. The story spread quickly, whispered from one worker to another, until the entire town knew of the cursed doll. The legend grew. Locals whispered that the doll was cursed, not haunted, not possessed, but something worse. It didn't move, it didn't speak, it simply knew. It knew where you would die, where you would be buried, and once you touched it, the knowledge became yours. People who encountered the doll began to dream of coffins, of graves, of being buried alive. One woman claimed she saw herself inside a glass casket, surrounded by strangers. Another man saw a pit in the woods, freshly dug, with his name carved into a stone nearby. The doll didn't show how you would die. It showed where you would end up, and once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. The grave became a shadow, following you, reminding you of what was coming. Some tried to laugh it off, but the dreams persisted. The visions grew stronger, and eventually, they all met the fate the doll had revealed. Researchers tried to study it. They placed it in a lab, surrounded it with sensors, cameras, and protective wards. But the doll remained inert. Until one night, the lead researcher touched it barehanded. He collapsed instantly, eyes wide, mouth open, whispering the word soil. He was hospitalized, unable to speak. His hands kept miming the act of digging. Days later, he escaped. Security footage showed him walking calmly into the woods behind the facility. He was found three days later, buried in a shallow grave, exactly where he had pointed. The doll had shown him, and he had obeyed. Other researchers refused to touch it, but even being near it seemed to affect them. They reported dreams of graves, visions of burial sites, and an overwhelming sense of inevitability. The doll didn't need to be touched to spread its curse. It simply needed to be seen. Mid-script CTA. Would you dare to touch the doll that knows your grave? Smash that like button if you walk away, and subscribe for more mysteries that defy logic. The doll's design is simple. Cloth body, no features. No limbs, just a stitched name. But those who've seen it say the stitching changes. Sometimes it shows their name. Sometimes it shows coordinates. Sometimes it shows a date. One man claimed the doll displayed a location he'd never heard of. He searched it online. It was a cemetery in another country. He booked a flight, went there, and found a fresh grave with his name on it. He never returned. The doll doesn't threaten. It doesn't chase. It simply reveals. And once it reveals, the path is set. People who tried to destroy it found themselves haunted by visions of graves. Fires wouldn't burn it. Knives wouldn't cut it. The doll endured, waiting patiently for its next victim. Legends say the doll was created by a grieving mother who lost her child in a landslide. She stitched the doll from her daughter's burial clothes, infused it with sorrow, and buried it beneath her home. But grief turned to obsession. She began to believe the doll could guide others to their final resting place. She invited strangers to touch it, to see their fate. Some laughed, others cried, but all eventually disappeared. The mother vanished too. Her house collapsed during a storm. The doll was found years later, untouched, waiting. Some say the mother's spirit still lingers, bound to the doll, guiding it to those who need to see their end. Others believe the doll is older, a relic of ancient rituals meant to bind the living to the earth. Modern sightings are rare but consistent. A traveler in Poland claimed he saw the doll in a roadside shrine. He touched it, then dreamed of a grave beside a frozen lake. He was found months later, drowned, buried in ice. A woman in Argentina said the doll appeared in her attic. She never bought it, never saw it before, but it was there. She touched it. She dreamed of a desert grave. Her car was found abandoned in the Atacama. Her body was buried beneath sand. The doll doesn't need to travel. It appears where it's needed. Witnesses describe it as silent, patient, and unyielding. It doesn't move, but somehow it always ends up where it must be. Those who survive the encounter say the worst part isn't the dream. It's the certainty. The knowledge that your grave exists, that it's waiting, that the earth has already chosen you. Some try to fight it. They move, change names, burn the doll. But the vision persists. The grave remains. And eventually, they find themselves drawn to it. One man built a house over his predicted burial site, thinking it would protect him. He died in his sleep. The floorboards collapsed. His body fell into the earth. The doll had been right. Another woman tried to flee across continents, but the grave followed her. She was buried in the exact spot she had seen, thousands of miles from where she first touched the doll. Now, the doll is missing. No one knows where it is, but stories continue. Of dreams filled with dirt. Of graves that whisper. Of dolls that appear in closets, basements, and forgotten corners. Some say the doll chooses its victims. Others say it's random, but all agree, once you touch it, your fate is sealed. The grave is marked, the earth remembers, and the doll will guide you there. Paranormal investigators warn against searching for it. They say the doll doesn't want to be found. It wants to find you, and when it does, it will show you the place where you'll rest forever. NCTA, would you risk touching the doll that knows where you'll be buried? Or would you walk away forever? Comment below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to keep the mystery alive. The doll may be closer than you think, and it's always watching.